afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to start our Central Committee meeting for today. So we want to welcome to the Central Committee members, those in the hall, and those also listening to us by radio, Facebook, and other media. The Central Committee meeting convenes in accordance with Article 8 of the Rules of Order of the Island Council Committee Ordinance. Before we proceed, the next agenda point is, are there any announcements from committee members? Anyone else? No announcements. Oh yeah. Yes, we have Mr. Van Putten is absent with notice. Then we go to agenda point number 3, which is the setting of the agenda. So the agenda is published is 1 opening, 2 announcements, 3 setting of the agenda, 4 is ratification list of incoming documents. Number 5 is the ratification list decisions and commitment from our meeting of April 3rd. Number 6 is the annual integrity report 2024. Number 7, proposed budget 2026 of the Court of Audit, St. Eustatius. Number 8, report 2024, Court of Audit, St. Eustatius. Number 9, announcements, Executive Council. And number 10 is closing. Audit coming online. Can we find ourselves in the agenda as presented? Any suggestions for adjustments, changes? If not, then we adopt the agenda as read. We move on to agenda point number 4, ratification list of incoming documents. In the documents received, you find a list of incoming documents for the Island Council. Are there any comments on the list of incoming documents? Okay, no comments at this time, so we will also move to adopt the list of incoming documents as presented. Agenda point number 5, ratification list of decisions and commitments from our meeting of April 3rd. Are there comments on this list of decisions and commitments? Okay, no comments on that list, so we move to approve that as well, the list of decisions and commitments from our meeting of April 3rd. All right, then we move to agenda point number 6, which is the annual integrity report 2024. The Annual Integrity Report 2024 for public consumption. This report was drafted by the integrity team of the public entity St. Eustatius. The Integrity Office recently opened its doors in January of 2025. This office is the responsibility of the island governor. Considering that the island governor is responsible for integrity within the public entity and could not be present due to prior work engagements, in her absence, we have with us the acting governor, Ms. Sharon Hassel, who support the integrity team. For us to gain further insight and information on this agenda point, we will be given a presentation by Ms. Latoya Blyden, who is a representative of the integrity team as well. Before Ms. Blyden makes her presentation, I would like to ask the acting governor to give some opening remarks to this agenda point. Acting Governor, Ms. Hassel.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Island Council members, Commissioner, our listening audience. I would like to take a moment before the presentation starts to highlight the importance of this topic and why we as public entity of Statia is placing a renewed focus on integrity within our organization. Integrity is the foundation of trust, both internally among colleagues and externally with our clients, partners, and community. It shapes our culture, guides our decisions, and reflects who we are when no one is watching. As our organization continues to grow and evolve, it's more important than ever that we uphold the highest ethical standards in everything we do. This is why we are paying closer attention to this topic, to ensure that integrity remains not just a value we speak about, but one we actively live out every day. Chairman, I would like to pass the word on to our integrity officers. If that's
yes,
okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Then we invite Ms. Blyden to do the presentation.
Good.
Here today. Before I start the presentation, I would like to introduce my colleague, Yanti.
Yes. Good afternoon. I'm Yanti Boscher. I'm one of the integrity advisors for the public entity of Statia since January 2025 this year. And before that, shall I repeat it? Yeah. I'm Yanti Boscher. I'm an integrity advisor since January 2025 for the public entity of Statia. Since the last 10 years, I've been working in the integrity domain in the Netherlands.
Thank you, Yantin. And I am Latoya Blyden. I am the integrity officer for the public entity. I was appointed in September of 2024. This report contains activities carried out in 2024, recommendations for 2025, and ambitions for the future. The integrity agenda for public entities in Statia falls under the responsibility of the island governor, according to the World Best. And in order to have this agenda executed, the Integrity Office was established. In January 2024, an Integrity Quartermaster was appointed for 6 months, and during his time, he had the following instruments established: the integrity policy, the reporting procedure, the recruitment of 4 confidential advisors, and the appointment of 2 integrity advisors. The task of the integrity advisor. The integrity advisor is the first point of contact in the field of integrity for the organization. That's the executive council, directors, managers, and employees. The integrity advisor reports to the governor and advises the organization on integrity matters. The integrity advisor is also responsible for the execution of the integrity policy, which includes the code of conduct, the reporting procedure, and also the investigation protocol, which is not mentioned here because this is being developed and will be established in this year, 2025. The Integrity Advisor is also responsible for coordinating trainings, awareness, and communication. The Code of Conduct. The Code of Conduct was established in 2020, and it serves as a guide for the Civil Corps with reference to their actions and behavior. The reporting procedure is a procedure for which persons, the Civil Corps, can report integrity violations such as leaking of information, theft, bribery, unwanted behavior, such as bullying, abuse of power, intimidation, and discrimination. A report can be made via the confidential advisor or the integrity office. After a report is made, the report is registered by the office and is assessed by the integrity committee. The committee then assesses the worthiness of the report, and this is then forwarded with an advice to the executive council, who decides on the steps further. The role of the confidential advisor. The confidential advisor supports, guides, and advises reporters, provides information to managers on solving and preventing undesirable behavior on the work floor, such as bullying, teasing, and discrimination. They provide support to reporters, not the accused, and the confidential advisor does not mediate nor investigate the validity of complaints. Activities carried out in 2024. Coordinating and handling of reported cases, contracting of 4 confidential advisors, organizing and participating in the confidential advisor training, in the mediation training, in the summit 2024, which was held in November last year on Statia, selection of the external agency who conducted the integrity training for the Civil Corps, and also did a kickoff session in November 2024. Contracting of an external communication bureau to develop the communication plan. Planning for 2025. Introduction of the Integrity Office and the confidential advisors. This was done in the General Assembly in January 2025. Officially be ready to receive reports from the organization. We are ready to take reports. However, there are some elements that still needs to be in place, such as an office. We don't have an office as yet. Training of the Civil Corps, that started in February and ends next week, this month, the ending of May. Execute the strategic communication plan and networking. That is something that is continuously ongoing. Reflections and recommendations for 2025. Review and adjust where necessary certain aspects of the policy and the reporting procedure. The reporting procedure was reviewed and adjusted, and we are busy now putting it, finalizing together so we can have it approved by the Executive Council. Make clear the task of the Integrity Office. Offer trainings in communication. We realized last year that communication was a big challenge within the organization, and we still see it ongoing. So this is something we want to really pay attention to moving forward. Review and publish the organizational procedures. We realize that our procedures are very lengthy, and a lot of people do not understand where they need to go and how they need to get things done, how to find information. So our recommendation is to have the procedures reviewed, shortened, and published so that people could find them easily. research the approach of the Integrity Chamber on St. Martin. This was something that my former colleague was really interested in, because the investigations done by the Chamber in St. Martin is done on the system and not on the person. In conclusion, together we remain committed to fostering a culture of honesty, accountability, and ethical leadership. Looking forward, we are confident that our continued dedication will strengthen trust and drive lasting success.
Governor.
Thank you, Toya, and thank you all for the presentation. Now we're open if there's any questions or remarks. None?
Okay, so usually we proceed in a round of deliberation. Okay, so deliberations usually in two terms of discussion, but I will let the members, direct in their first round their questions direct to the presenters, so you can get answers right away. So I will start with the order speaking. Councilman Simmons, Council Lady Spanakati, Council Lady Lopes Spanner. So Councilman Simmons, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. I have one comment, and I think it also relates to integrity. Like on the cover of the report, you have a statement: integrity, the essence of everything successful. And when I see things like that, I quickly Google it, who basically say that. And I believe it should come a common practice when we use others' saying to reference who say it, because it's also a form of integrity. That's it.
All right, thank you, Councilman Simmons. Do you have you want to respond to the remarks of Mr. Simmons?
Thank you for that.
Members.
Okay, thank you for the observation. We will take note of it and make the necessary corrections.
Okay. Council Lady Spanakati.
Good afternoon, everyone. Indeed, thank you for the presentation. I find the topic very interesting. I had a few questions. Would you rather them all or one by one? So you can answer? Yeah? Gezag? Yeah, just read
one.
all?
Yes,
Okay.
One by one, you prefer one by one.
Okay.
It's preferably
It's
all
more
and
efficient,
then,
yeah?
yes.
Okay, I'll just read them off and,
Yes.
okay. I was curious as to, you mentioned the training was almost done within the Civil Corps. I was wondering if you could give us, how do you say, feedback, how it was received within the Civil Corps, And especially, what was the most notable feedback that you're taking along with you in the continued process is something new as integrity. Also, you mentioned in your presentation training for the Civil Corps, and I think that is different to what you're doing. You did, it's the same thing? Okay. Could we get an idea of what exactly the aspects were that you touched on? Also, I would like to get an example on the process that you mentioned that St. Martin has, where the research, the process, I think the procedure and not the person. I would like to know what exactly that means and what are the benefits of such a, how do you say, approach? And my last question is, are the higher ups exempt from this training? I didn't get an invitation as an Island Council member. I don't know if the commissioners attended. Also, just wondering about that.
Okay, thank you, Council Lady Spanacardi. Okay, Ms. Belady, you can go ahead and answer.
Okay, the first one.
Yeah, the notable feedback which we received from the participants was that they were very, very happy that this was organized. They told us that they would like that more often organized. But they also mentioned
Speak
that...
in the microphone, please.
Sorry. But they also mentioned that what they give back during the trainings about how they perceive the organization, they would like to see more implemented in the organization. So that those both sides of the story. But a more elaborate summary will be given to the Executive Council first, because we're not done yet with the trainings. The aspects of the training were mainly about the code of conduct, so the core values, because we have a code of conduct, but it's not known so much through the organization. Sorry for my English. So the trainers put a lot of effort to get those core values across and speak to the people about it with the civil servants. And also they did a lot of exercising with each other about speaking up. So how do you give feedback to one another? How can you talk about things you encounter in your work that does not go well or you find difficult? That's always the main challenge in every organization, because it's your colleague and you don't want to fight with your colleague, but sometimes you have to address certain things, and how can you do that in the right way? So that was also a very important part of the training.
The example of St. Martin, I had a colleague that came here for 6 months before Yantin, and she visited the Chamber of Commerce, and they do their investigation. So when there's a violation, the investigation is done on the system. So how is it possible that somebody could have committed the violation? But our process is on the person. And honestly, we did not further research anything on this because she's left. Yeah.
But we do know that when there is an investigation needed on a person, then it goes to PZ. So that is not done by the Integrity Chamber. So that's a different way of organizing integrity.
Yes, Council Lady. Carty, one moment, please.
Just a follow-up question. Has Stacia, the Civil Corps here, or whoever Chazak is in charge, has a decision been made on how Stacia will be conducting their investigations? On the person or the process?
The person.
The person.
And sometimes you get also you can give some advice on the system, because it's about risk analysis on integrity. but the focus is on the persons. And the last question, the Executive Council was also in the training, but not the politicians. Yeah, the Executive Council also politicians, but Island Councilmen. Sorry.
Maybe you can explain the difference between.
Well, you can better explain.
No,
oh yeah, because in the code of conduct we're speaking about is mainly for the civil servants and not for the politicians. They have their own code of conduct and their own processes.
All right, that's all the questions from... Okay, Council Lady Lopes Banner.
Maybe to additional remark, the governor was also in the training, together with the Executive Council and the Island Secretary.
Council Lady Lopes.
Good afternoon, everybody. I only have one question. How often will the integrity policies be reviewed and updated?
How often? Well, the Code of Conduct was written in 2020, that's 5 years ago. So we updated it. It depends on how we see things going, if there's a need for change. But until I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
It's new for the public entity, so we had to start somewhere, and the start was last year. But already last year, the two integrity advisors encountered some challenges, and that is the reason that we now made a review of the reporting procedure, a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And we also are working on a more reader-friendly version, and we want it published because everybody needs to know about it and must be able to find it. So that are the things we're working on, together with an investigation protocol that is customary, I don't know the word, for Statia, so that it can work for Statia. And if next year it seems necessary that we adjust it, then we will advise the Executive Council to adjust it. And if not, we let it be.
All right, thank you. Okay, I have one or two questions of my own. I see here that the integrity advisor reports to the governor. How often does that happen, and what is the purpose of the reporting to the governor? Is that on a case-by-case basis, or are you referring to once a year annual reporting to the governor? My next question is the Integrity Chamber open to receive questions, comments, concerns from the general public, or only from civil servants specifically?
The meetings, sorry.
Yes, jot my questions. I see also that one body, the RCN, is the one who will be investigating these, they are involved in the investigation. The RCN is mentioned. Which body of the RCN is involved? A specific body? The confidential advisors, are they appointed one per case, or are all the advisors? I think it's for each case, each situation, an advisor, a confidential advisor is assigned, right? Or do they work on a case as a group? The confidential advisors. Okay, those are my questions so far.
Okay, the meetings with the governor, that happens quite frequently, but that's just to update her as to what we are doing. We do not share any confidential information about cases or reports or anything like that. It's just to update her as to what we are doing as the Integrity Office. And that happens, we have a scheduled meeting every
2 months.
2 months, yeah.
You asked a question about the Integrity Chamber, but I think you mean the Integrity Office of Statia, is that correct? About
Your office,
if the
your
general
office.
public can make a report? Yes. They can. Everybody can make a report on a civil servant. Everybody. Sorry?
Yes, and you
Yeah,
set up
but
phase.
it does not have to stay with depend on the office. We have an email.
We have an
yes.
email, yes, we have an email that we can be contacted, but again, this is all new, so the information has not been out there as yet that the public can report. We are still in the process of getting things done behind the scenes.
Okay.
No.
RCN, integrity, yeah, which part of RCN? RCN has an integrity bureau as well, and they are already, I think, a few years in operation, and they do have their own investigators. Public entity does not have it, so we, for an investigation on a person, we are dependent on external parties. That does not have to be from the Integrity Bureau, from RCN, but it is the most, how do you say?
Well, they used them before. When they had issues, those were the persons that they used, so we just continued using those persons.
So that is the plan going forward, or you
Yes.
plan to establish your own body of investigation?
No, we cannot have investigators for
Local,
station
it must
because
be.
we are too small scale.
Okay,
Yes,
understand.
exactly. And the last question about the confidential advisors. Everybody who wants to talk to a confidential advisor can choose whichever confidential advisor they want. So it's not that they are assigned by us or by anyone. There is no bureau that is like decides. You can approach a confidential advisor directly.
That information was also shared with, during the General Assembly, so they have the contact information
Yes.
for the civil court.
But also this is very new for the civil servants, and we see some koud watervrees, cold feet, yes. But we do have confidential advisors from
External.
outside the
Organization.
organization and also outside of the island.
So the reporter goes directly to the confidential
Yes.
advisor before the complaint comes by you?
That can be the case, but they can also just have a conversation with a confidential advisor and leave it at that because they're helped in a sufficient way, or they can come directly to the office to make a report.
Okay. Okay, that's our first round of discussions. Is there a need for additional questions, Mrs. Simmons? No? No. Commissioner, anything to add? Oh, sorry. Ms. Hassel, de gemandateerde.
I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to present our annual report and also our future plans. And as mentioned by our integrity officers, this is all new, so there are certain things that there are still some bottlenecks that we still need to take care of, but in due time, this will all be clarified and cleared up, and then I guess we will come back later on with another presentation if necessary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so far. All right, I don't think we have anything else for the integrity. So thank you for the presentation and answering the questions, and good luck with the work. All right, we move to agenda point number 7, which is the Court of Audit St. Eustatius, their budget for the year 2026. For this agenda point, we will be handling the budget of the Court of Audit for the year 2026 in accordance with Article 4, Paragraph 1 of the Island Ordinance, Court of Audit Public Entity St. Eustatius. The Court of Audit, the cost of the Court of Audit is budgeted annually by the Island Council in its fixed island budget. In preparation for the Island Council decision-making process, there is an Island Council proposal and decision which entails the proposed budget of the Court of Audit for the year 2026. Once sufficient information has been shared with the committee will advise if the Island Council proposal and decision regarding the budget of the Court of Audit for 2026 is ready to move forward to the Island Council. To further gain insight into this agenda point regarding the budget of the Court of Audit, we have the members of the Court of Audit joining us online. The Chairlady of the Court of Audit, Mrs. Lehing de Court, and the members, Mr. Keith de Jong and Mr. Gerald Burkle, and they will present to us the proposed budget for the Court of Audit for the year 2026. So I welcome the members of the Court of Audit, St. Eustatius, and I will now ask Mrs. de Court to give us a brief introduction for the public consumption on the budget of the Court of Audit. Good afternoon and welcome. Mevrouw de Court, you have the words. If you can hear me. Are you hearing me? Okay.
Yes, I hear you. I think my colleagues also right. Yes. Okay, good afternoon, Chair Smith. We have submitted in March a proposal for an increase in our budget for 2026 and also an amendment to the 2025 budget. The proposed increase was primarily related to the, let's say, the financial review component or task of the audit as mentioned in the FinBAS. And this was based on, let's say, information that we had at that point in time, which was provided by the base at that time. And so because of the, let's say, the lack of clarification and the stance of how we should move forward, we have then incorporated in our budget for 2026 and also requesting an amendment for 2025, this, let's say, task, the financial review. However, as we handed in, let's say, our proposal, we got new information as well. And that information brought us to this new, let's say, proposal that we have submitted recently. And that proposal entails that as a Court of Audit, we believe that we are not supposed to, let's say, do the financial review as is. And the reason for this is because if we go and dig deeper in the, let's say, the Memorie van Toelichting, it mentions also that that is only applicable if, let's say, the external auditor is an auditor employed by the public entity, meaning that it's a civil servant. In this case, we know that the public entity has an external auditor. It's outsourced its audit, and therefore, in this particular case, the Court of Audit is then not, let's say, the one that should be doing this financial review. However, my colleague, Keith, is the one that actually went to investigate this further, and looking at also at his, let's say, legal background, I would like to provide him the word so that he can explain a little bit more of this and how we came about this conclusion before I can continue actually presenting, let's say, the new proposed budget. Keith, you wanna?
Yes, Mr.
Thank you,
Keith.
Mr. Court. Honorable Chairman and members of the Island Council, to be honest with you, I think Lane gave a very excellent summary of what's going on. I understand that this is not something that the Island Council is dealing with on a daily basis. Basically, what it comes down to is during the last meeting we had with the Island Council, we proposed a budget increase of $50,000 because of an extra audit we were supposed to be doing. However, found out that it's not actually necessary to do that audit based on the gemeentewet in Holland, which we got clarification on as well. Hence, our advice would be is to annul that extra $50,000 so you can use that for other policy purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah, so this is our new proposal, just to make sure we don't want to, we want to be efficient with resources as well. And we have noticed that this is a topic that in other, let's say, if you can call it like that, a municipality rekenkamer in other municipalities in the Netherlands, they are also camping with this question, but most are going into the direction of also recommending their respective governing bodies as well, that they don't look this as a task of a municipality rekenkamer, maybe as a, let's say, a Rekenkamer Nederland to do. And so we are also going into that trend as well and seeing the, let's say, the explanation that my colleague already gave. We believe that we have, I think, sufficient information to recommend this as well. And so our proposed budget for 2026 has been deducted. So it was reduced with this 50,000 that we initially proposed. We still do have 2 items or 3 items that have a slight increase, which is still the travel and accommodation. And this is a one-time increase that we expect because, after, let's say, 4 years being in the Court of Audit, we believe that it's important to keep our minds open to what is happening with the other, let's say, rekenkamers, what are they doing, what are the challenges they also encounter. And that would require traveling to the Netherlands to attend the Congress. And that is something that, even though the Congress takes place every year, we think that we want to be efficient with our resources. It is not necessary for us to, let's say, do this every year, but since it's been 4 years already, we think that it's something that we would like to propose for this specific year to do, where we can, attend workshops and get some capacity building for ourselves as a Court of Audit. The other increase was more on the administrative support. The administrative support has to do with the intention that we believe as a Court of Audit that it would be good to have an external person or professional or consultant to close our, let's say, our budget at the end of the year. We have done this ourselves, but we still want a closing statement just to make sure that from an independent body that we can also provide this in our reports and in our annual reports, where someone else also looked at what we have in our folders in our administration and can, let's say, confirm and validate what we are reporting as well. We think this is also part of a transparency and integrity from our side. And so because of that, we wanted to ask for the, let's say, the closing of our budget be, let's say, reviewed by an external person as well. With regards to the external support for the audit, we have requested an increase of 5,000. This has to do with, as you're aware, the last year was actually the first year where we got, let's say, a confirmation of the external support budget, where we have allocated $30,000. And through that year, we were able to actually receive proposals. And during that period, the proposals that we have received, they varied, but at the end, we saw that the average was around that amount. Last year, it was actually more than what we have budgeted, which was the 30,000. But we managed to change our scope of work a bit, managed to negotiate with the external support, and then they allowed us to, meet this 30,000. But because it was so close to the budget, we decided that this year we should have it a little bit more realistic, and then that's the reason for the, let's say, this extra 5,000 that we are requesting. At the same time that we're requesting 3 items to increase, we also want to look at how ways that we can reduce as well. And that's the reason why we also reduced 2 items, which is the membership and subscriptions. That has to do with, with the time we notice that there are some software that you might not need or might not use, so there is a slight decrease. And training, the budget of training is not necessarily that it's not, let's say, enough, but it's more that during that year, we did not, let's say, use the training budget completely because of not, let's say, there was no available training maybe, or the timing for our members were not, at the time was not aligned. And so we used less than what it was budgeted, and because of that, we decided this year, we're going to keep it low as well, just to go to the trend. But that does not mean that it's, let's say, that maybe in the future, if we see other opportunities, that this might change. But for now, we don't find it necessary to have that increase in our budget, and instead of an increase, we have actually allocated or proposed a reduction. So that goes to a total of 96,450, which is higher than, let's say, our budget of 2024 and 2025. But it excludes the, let's say, what I just mentioned is the big chunk of the 50,000 that is not included anymore in our proposed budget as is. So that's about it. What we want to propose as a budget for 2026, and no amendment would be required any longer for the 2025 budget.
Okay, thank you very much. So you are saying the budget amendment that was proposed earlier is no longer necessary to approve that extra funds for your organization. And the new budget you're proposing is just 96,450 for 2026. All right, so are there any questions from the committee to the members of the Court of Audit? We will start by Councilman Simmons. Nothing. Council Lady Spanacardi.
Thank you, Ms. Lane, the court, for the presentation. I'm glad to see the budget was adjusted before we came here today. It was discussed within our faction. So we were on the same line with regards to what your responsibilities were to the audit. I have a question, but it more goes to the Commissioner of Finance. Even though the proposed adjustment is way less, I was just wondering if there is advice coming from finance, if our budget can carry this or the change. Thank you.
Commissioner of Finance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to the general public. Good afternoon to the Island Council. That was something that we were discussing, if in the future it would be possible that, if the document can be forwarded to the unit finance, whereby they would be able to give advice coming into the central committee, because then it would go a lot faster, because now it comes to us and we have to go and take it along, in the second budget amendment, which is okay, because it's not a real huge amount. But I spoke to the manager and I explained him what it was about, and he said, yeah, he's also of the opinion that we can take it along, because he did receive some communication, but he was thinking about a bigger amount. He was thinking about an amount of he mentioned something like $80-something thousand extra, but I told him no, it's just an additional 12. So he feels that, and I also feel that it should be something that we can handle. I hope I've answered your question. But we were not privy to giving advice, to be more direct. Thank you.
This is, go ahead.
just a follow-up, Commissioner. Then can we expect some kind of advice when it goes to the Island Council to be voted on?
Yes, when it comes to the Executive Council, the Executive Council will execute whatever is in it, but I will make sure that there will be advice on it, because technically we have to give advice whenever it comes from the Island Council. If it comes to the Executive Council will send it to the Finance Department and request advice on it.
So this is the budget request for 2026, right? So we're in the process of the budget process for 2026. So this will be taken along in that. So this is the request for 2026.
I was even I'm a little mistaken, so because I thought it was for the 20, so Council Lady Cathy and Councilman Smith, thanks for the correction. It's for 2026. So what happens is the departments are busy now putting in their request for the budget. So, you know, it's we will take it along, because and if we can't, then of course we will revert back to you all with the result. But I mean, it also means that the 2026 budget would be coming to you all the 1st of September. 1st of September. So if it's not, but we will take it along. We will take it along. So it would be in the budget. So sorry for that. I was thinking 2025, but it's 2026. Sorry about that.
Yeah, the additional increase was suggested for 2025, but as we hear, that is no longer necessary. Okay, Mevrouw Lopes. Okay. All right, then we don't have any further questions from the members here relating to your budget proposal. So it will go to the Island Council and then will be taken along in the drafting of the budget for 2026, as you heard the Commissioner just stated. So thank you for the presentation on that thus far. We have another agenda point. Commissioner Markman.
Just for clarity, as I indicated before, every department is now sending in their wish list. So I see this as a wish list from the Court of Audit too. So and we take along their wish list. If there's anything different, then we would let them know. But I don't see this as anything major.
Okay, thank you. So that concludes agenda point number 7. The next agenda point number 8, also relates to the Court of Audit, which is the annual report for 2024. So for this agenda point, we'll be handling the annual report 2024 of the Court of Audit St. Eustatius in accordance with Article 186, paragraph 3 of the WALBES. The Court of Audit must submit its annual report from the previous year by April 1st. This helps us to provide important insight into their activities and findings throughout the past year. This document contributes to understanding the role of the Court of Audit and guarantees transparency, accountability, and integrity of the public entity St. Eustatius. For further details on this agenda point, I will ask the members of the Court of Audit to further give any further elucidation on their annual report. The Chair of the Court of Audit, would you like to give a elucidation on the report for 2024?
Yes, so submitted in the activities that have been conducted, as well as the realization of our budget. For the Court of Audit, the year 2024, we have given as a title the forward as well in our annual report, a year of stability for the Court of Audit of St. Eustatius. And the reason why we call it a stability, because it's the first year we could say that we are finding our balance, I think, also as the Court of Audit, but also in working relationship with the Island Council as well, where, yes, I'm gonna share, I can share my screen, so I'm gonna do that. 1 second. Yes? Do you see the screen?
Yes, we see something now.
Okay.
Forward.
Yes. Yes. So in our forward, we've mentioned that for us as the Court of Audit, for us is a year of stability, and as I just mentioned, this has to do with the fact that we are finding our way as a Court of Audit, but also we are finding our way in, let's say, the working relationship with Island Council as well. And this is the, let's say, the first year where the Court of Audit has, let's say, a confirmed and approved budget in the sense of what we have proposed for the full year, and it has been executed as such as well. So that is a very positive note to start the annual report. In the same note, a second. We also present what the activities were in that year, and our main activity based on the Island Ordinance, our main mandate will always be and is the audit. In that respect, in the year 2024, because it's the first year that we had the whole budget approved. We didn't have an audit in 2023 because of that, but what happened is that we replaced this with a much, let's say, faster review, which is what we have introduced as a progress meter. So allowing us not to say that basically complying still with what is being expected from us, even though in the 2022 it was, let's say, an irregular year for the Court of Audit as well. So in 2024, we introduced the progress meter, and the progress meter basically is a report where we want to evaluate and monitor what's been done with previous audits. In this particular case, the audits of 2021 and 2024 were evaluated, 2022, they were evaluated. It's not an audit, but it's more like a monitoring, so that our reports remain like a living document, and that they are actively used by the Executive Councils and also by the Island Council as well, so that we can get the intended value that we want from our reports. So in that progress meter, we mentioned the different conclusions and recommendations of the previous audits and what the Executive Council has done with it. It's more of a sort of a reflection report and not necessarily an audit, but it's the first time that we have introduced this, and it will be conducted periodically every 2 years. And then we go back every, let's say, it depends on what the topic is. If we want to go back, we can go back years before, or we can decide to do the audit the year before. It all depends on what are the results of the progress meter as well. Next to the progress meter that was published, we were ongoing also with our audit, which is the 2024 audit itself, and that is the recruitment and selection process audit. This is also the first time for the Court of Audit that we outsourced and outsourced, let's say, professionals to support us in this as well, seeing that we had the budget to do so. And the intention of the recruitment selection process was to focus on 3 key components, which was the compliance, the efficiency and the effectiveness of the recruitment process of the public entity. And we must say that this audit has been concluded at the beginning of the year, already in March. But there is a process that we follow, and the process entails that we submit the publication first to the Executive Council, and they have the chance to provide our feedback, their comments, which are also included in the report. This process has been concluded, so the next step is that the Island Council will receive, as soon as I close this meeting, you will receive the final reports. Since we already have established the process with the Executive Council, you will receive the recruitment and selection process audit for 2024. Those are the 2, let's say, main activities. Besides the audit, we have bi-weekly meetings every 2 weeks, We have our own audit meetings, and those meetings are not only concerning the audit, but it concerns the different systems and procedures that we work on as a Court of Audit, including our Code of Conduct, rules of orders, travel policy, you name it. We have different policies that we're working on since ever since we have been installed. There were no policies, so we have to work on those. And the meetings are mainly for that, but also to discuss ongoing audits. So as you can see for 2024, we have our Court of Audit meetings. We have external meetings as well. Those external meetings are with stakeholders to understand the situation in Statia, but also other Court of Audits. We have also our meetings that we have with the Island Council and the different government officials. And in 2024, I must say, we have something that we didn't have the previous year, which was a Congress and trainings. I myself followed a training, and we have also a colleague of us that attended the Congress in the Netherlands, and that one is not the one, is the one that we've mentioned in our budget, but here it's not, it's a Congress of the NBRN, which is the Association of Rekenkamers in the Netherlands, which is the Congress that they have every year. But our colleague was in the Netherlands, he happens to be in the Netherlands, and he used that moment to attend the Congress. So it was not with the budget of the Court of Audit, it was more on personal budget, on a, let's say, personal visit, and that's why we have the Congress here. But because of his visit as well and the value of it, we decided that maybe it's something that we should do next year together, and that's why the budget also reflects this. But it was something that was already, let's say, attended by one of our colleagues. Here you can see all our meetings, which in total result in about 37 meetings in a year. One of the main meetings that are important for us is our annual visit to Statia. Not all members of the Court of Audit reside in Statia. We are close in heart in Statia, but we're not in Statia as yet, which is myself and also Keith. And that's why, and that is the reason also why it's very important to have this annual visit. That annual visit usually is 1 week visit where we try to meet with different stakeholders, try to present our audit as well. And the meeting with the stakeholders is important for us to evaluate the possible topics that we will choose for, let's say, the next year to audit. The topic that we choose is again subject to this, to the Rekenkamer, to the Court of Audit, but it always is based on, let's say, information that we get from stakeholders, the Island Council, the Executive Council, and we create a list, and that list we use as to evaluate which is the most effective, efficient, and valuable topic that we can choose based on what we have received as information. Okay. So that travel report we have also in our annual report. We've mentioned that we focus a lot on also on communication. So we visited the government information services to explain what we do as well as a Court of Audit, and the screen is a bit, anyway. Yes, so we also provide about what are the deliverables that are based on the Island Ordinance, and that we have complied all these as well, while still focusing on public relations, just to make sure that we are relevant and the people of Statia also know what we do. And at the end, we provide, of course, our realization of our budget. As you can see, we have a proposed budget that we provided of 76,000 in 2024, from which the Island Council approved 78,000, and our realization is below of what we have proposed and also below of what we have approved from the Island Council. And it's very important, we also mentioned in our annual report that the, let's say, the realization, it's below the proposed budget, and this has a lot to do with efficiency and not effectiveness, because everything we have set to do as a Court of Audit has been conducted, and it was more on trying to find efficiency and costs. There, I think, was one thing only that we were not able to reach, which was the marketing and communication. That's why the proposed budget is 2,000 and the realization was 384, but this was something that was out of our control. We hired a social media manager to help us in the social media, but then the person did not follow through the contract. So we decided to cancel the contract on time, and that's the reason why it's something that we did not achieve that year because of that situation that was out of our control. But the other, let's say, plan and actions that we have put in front of us for 2024 was, let's say, executed under the approved budgets. Yes, so that's in short our year as a Court of Audit in 2024.
All right, thank you very much. The committee members, Mr. Simmons, start by you.
Okay, thank you for that report. I must commend, looking at the Court of Audit, my short experience being here. We have met several times, and I believe the work they're doing is very high value. The question I have, because often you try to compare it with other organizations, you have like Sabre and Bonaire, and I try to look to see what Sabre does for the Court Audit or Racon Cameron, because basically you are fulfilling certain requirements required by law. And constantly, sometimes we are slammed down, especially like Bonaire and St. Eustatius, how you operate. But then when I look just across the ocean, you don't see anything, and then you just get, like a approval, everything is okay, everything is nice. And you don't have basically a Court of Audit basically keeping you in check. And I believe this is a very important check for our organization. And yeah, I highly value that, and congratulate you on the work you're doing, and hope to, you continue. So the one question is how the Sabre deals with those kind of, issues. That's it.
All right, thank you, Councilman Simmons. Council Lady Spanakati? No. Council Lady Lopes? Nothing either. Okay, in terms of public information, I think you have a website also where the public can go and get more information on the work of the audit chamber. So it might be important. You say you met with GIS, that they also promote that, so that general public gets a better understanding of what the court does. That's a very important control body for the government to control in terms of government spending and the efficiency of government spending. In terms of your next investigations, can you announce the topic, or is you keep that secret until you complete it, or can we know what the topics you're looking at in the future?
Thank you, Chair Smith. First, I would like to thank Council Simmons for the feedback. We appreciate. We do this with a lot of dedication. We would like to also comment that we have reached out to the Court of Audit of Bonaire. That was last year, but we are planning to reach out again this year to exchange what they are doing as well, so that we can also learn from them and that they can learn from us. They do have yes, their own process to start up, But in that respect, we do know that as the Court of Audit of Statia, we have step ahead, which is something to commend also for Statia in general. With regards to SEBA, unfortunately, as you are also aware, there is no rekenkamer in SEBA, so it's difficult to start a relationship there. But it's very important, again, to address that that is something that we have addressed from the start, that the WALBES talks about a gezamenlijke rekenkamer. And we have addressed this many times of what will look in the future if by law is still a gezamenlijke rekenkamer, or if this is going to be adjusted in the WALBES. And I know that this might not be something that is in your hands, but we just want to, again, emphasize how still, even though it's a name, but how important it is from a legal point of view to understand where we're going in the future with regards to the gezamenlijke rekenkamer. In the past, we have shared the many ways of how we see it as a Court of Audit, of how I can contribute to this as well. But I do understand there are some, let's say, discussion that needs to happen at the level of the Island Council. So we look forward in the future to learn more on this topic as well from our side. With regards to the investigation, yes, we can inform already what the investigation is, because this week the terms of reference or the request for proposal has been distributed already, and it will be published as well. So in this terms of reference, we are reaching out to different professionals, consultants to support us also in the process. And the topic is the issuing of the permit process. So we will be focusing on how efficient and compliant the permit process is. So that is, in a nutshell, what the subject is about. And as soon as we start with this audit officially, once we have professional support, we will also inform the Executive Council so that they can inform the rest of the departments that this audit will also commence. That is basically, in short, what the next audit will be for this year, and it probably will finish in 2026 or before the end of the year if we reach our timeline. So I'm going to give the word. I see my colleague, Mr. Burkle. Yes, Charles?
Good afternoon, members of the council. You may recognize this audit subject because this is one of the audit subjects that you raised as an issue of importance during one of our previous meetings. We took it along in the deliberations of subject matters for the next audit subject, and eventually, after looking at many subject items, this one was selected because in part of the priority that you gave to this subject during our discussion. So it may be, if you guys recall, it may be it's based on information that you provided to us. As my colleague stated, the purpose for coming to the island, meeting not only with the members of the Island Council, but with other stakeholders, is to gather information on subject matters. Similarly, we will do that in the future with the information we already have. There's a list that is compiled, and we review that list each time in determining audit subjects. Based on the budget that's allocated, we then select those subjects. And in this case, that is the audit that we are about to commence.
All right, thank you for that. Indeed, that's an interesting topic for us here. Thank you for following up on that. From the committee members, are there any other questions, queries to the court? Simmons? No. Is the commissioner of anything to add? No. All right, so there are no more queries from this end. So we want to thank you, members of the Audit Chamber for St. Eustatius, for sharing this information with us, and also for your report that you presented. And of course, we look forward to your reports coming later this year or the next year, and meeting with you sometime on your next visit to Statia as well. Thanks again for the good work and good luck further. All right, folks, that concludes this agenda point number 8, which is the annual report of the Court of Audit, the court that looks into the efficiency of government spending. So that concludes agenda point. Okay. All right, so indeed the previous agenda point, which is the proposed budget for 2026, that will move to the Island Council for ratification, and also the report from the Audit Chamber will also move to the Island Council for ratification. Agenda point number 9. Oh yeah. Yes, agenda point number 9, announcements from the Executive Council. No announcements. Okay, then we go to agenda point number 10, which is the closing. So we close this meeting of the Central Committee for today, 15th of May. I'd like to thank all participants and their teams for their presentations in today's meeting. I see the Commissioner still has an announcement to make.
Yes, sorry for the indulgence. Sorry, I beg your indulgence relating to the former agenda point. On towards the end of the month, I think there's also Island Council meeting. There's a geothermal symposium that will be held in St. Kitts, and I've been invited to that along with the governor. It's from the 26th to the 29th, Council Lady, if correct, if I have it correct, I think, yes. Yes, there'll be a symposium on St. Kitts, from the 26th to the 29th, and also in that same time, the ZACN is organizing a tour of the various medical facilities on the island. In the CAS. There's a rubber in the CAS and Boneo. In St. Martin and Boneo.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, then we continue with agenda point number 10. So we want to thank members of the Central Committee for being here today, the technical teams, and all those who were listening to us by radio, Facebook, and other media. So I hereby close this Central Committee meeting for today.